So hello Tim, welcome to COP26 Green Zone I can see behind you. So it's great to see you here, and I know you've been here the last couple of days. So what are your kind of impressions of the dialogue so far?
Well, I'm here as an observer for Gaia Education. It gives me the right of access to the two main zones, the so-called blue zone, which is a zone where the government people meet, and the so-called green zone, which is where we are here now, which is the area where civil society organisations and universities hang out. I think over the last few days, there's been a lot of positive things coming out from the conference, I'd say. A lot of it, of course, is voluntary, non-binding things that are being said. So there's an agreement on methane, something on deforestation, something on reducing carbon and so on. But actually, unless governments sign up to it and ratify it in their own processes, who knows what the real result is going to be. So there's a sort of disconnect, and I think that's the strong feeling between the reality check, which is we are in a very difficult doomsday world, and what is coming out from sound bites from politicians who obviously want to make this appear as a grand, victorious event where everyone is coming together. Half an hour ago, I was speaking to a scientist from the so-called Tyndall research lab in Norwich, which produces all the calculations on carbon, and their report just came out this morning, and they say that the carbon levels are still going up. We're still at this crazy figure, and it's going to be incredibly difficult to reverse that. So I think there's still a need more than ever for some serious understanding by governments, pushed by civil society. And the thing that I think is the most exciting in the last few years, but also today, is that the youth movement have really got a grip on events. And I think that the mobilization of youth across the world has transformed the way in which governments are acting.
So Tim, I'm curious as well, Gaia Education's based in Scotland, and have you been meeting with potential people we could partnership in Scotland?
Yes, I have. Let's try and establish links with institutions who have the same thinking. There's another booth in here from Climate Action North East Scotland, so I was talking to them. Are there ways in which we can find synergies between what they're doing in the north and east part of Scotland and ourselves? Can our courses become part of, as I said, the Scottish curricula? Strathclyde University, we're trying to start a debate with, a dialogue with, because they have a centre for sustainable development, and we're already working with them on a course on renewable energy. But what we'd like is them to become a sort of key partner for us in rolling out a program across Africa. We're also part of the Learning for Sustainability Scotland. I think there's a group of about 800 people involved. Yesterday I met someone from the Glasgow City Council who said there's a Chamber of Commerce in Aberdeen that has fantastic links with African business communities. So can we plug an Aberdeen University, the Strathclyde University in Glasgow, Learn for Sustainable Scotland, which is based in the University of Edinburgh. Can we create that level of interest in Scotland? Can our own courses, Gaia's own courses, become part of the national curriculum in Scotland? Why not? So what I'm trying to do is to see if I can find organisations who have a similar sort of, if you like, ethic to Gaia Education, that are from the civil society roots, but with whom we haven't at the moment had a dialogue.
So how do you see Gaia Education contributing to the COP agenda? What's the role for Gaia?
I'm a huge fan of Gaia Education. It's no surprise, I've been on the board for a while. I think it has a fantastically important role to play. And one of the things which I find worrying actually at COP26 here is a lack of talk on education. At the end of the day, awareness generation is important, but Gaia has produced some fantastic online education materials. And so far, I would say, hasn't really succeeded in it's what you might call its outreach across the world. It's still a very limited audience. Most of the people, I think, who are looking at the Gaia materials are people already converted? And so whilst I've been on the board, I've been trying to get Gaia to expand its operations. So my primary task over the last 3 days I've been here is to find new people, new organizations, new networks that we can make alliances with. You go through the door here, you'll find there's an organization called Access, which is a network of 30, 40 different organizations across the world that are trying to get civil society organizations together on climate change and education issues. And they're based in Ghana. In fact, there are 3 main hubs in Africa. One is in Ghana, one is in Kenya, and one is in Zimbabwe. And if we can plug Gaia Education, for example, into that network and get synergies, I think there's a real possibility that the sort of courses that we are so good at can suddenly find a new audience.
You know, we know that sustainable change is about behavioural change as well. What are your thoughts around that, on what you've seen here at COP and how Gaia can contribute to this?
Well, I sense there's a different interest now. I mentioned earlier youth. Youth have a very different vision about their own future, and is provoked by what they see around them. And they're changing their habits. They're changing their eating habits. They're changing their attitudes to technology. They are taking a much more active role, I would say, in the things which are important to them, their own health. They're being more mindful. I think they have a much greater understanding of the world actually than we did when we were their age. And I think the activism that many of the youth groups here show, and there are groups here on gender, women's empowerment and equality, if you talk to them, they're really passionate about this. They will not let go.
So Tim, you know, as you know, I served on the board as well for a while with Gaia Ed, and the central vision and the important thing for me has always been the sort of holistic approach that we're working with: social, ecologic, economic, and what we call worldview, which is more about the inner work and the working, you know, inner change. And because we can't really address these issues without sort of working on ourselves as well. And so for me, I'm passionate about the inner work as well as climate transition and how they link together. So I'm curious about what your key vision and call to Gaia Ed is.
Gaia is one of the very few organizations I know which brings together thinking, people, creativity, innovation into a single vision, which is of citizens respecting their environment, respecting other people, respecting other organizations, creating within that person a renewed sense of place in the world. We've been taking from nature, we've been using nature as a resource. Actually, it should be the other way around. We are part of nature. We should be giving back to nature. Nature should be a central element, and respect for our planet and respect for our environment has to be centralized into our very being. Yeah. So I would say that, you know, my vision is that that message and that change of attitude has to go out. Mm-hmm. And where there are very few organizations that I've come across who are capable of making that change happen, and it's about forging new alliances, breaking the bounds from what our normal clientele, if you like, which is our own. We talk to each other too much. We don't talk to the non-believers. Mm-hmm. So my line really is try in Gaia Education to just reach out, find new respects, and create a society where we all feel safe, we all feel happy with our environment, where there is that sense of well-being and joy and happiness with our lot. And so that's my vision.